Hi everyone, I'm Lady Teddy. I'm going to be reading to you guys from Magium, which is a choose your own adventure app that is really cool, text-based, and it is free on both Android and iOS, so I strongly recommend that you download it for yourself and do your own playthrough because there's a lot of different paths that you could take. We are, I believe, in the middle of chapter 11 right now. And I am doing a smart, good berry run through currently. Alright, so I will go over to here.
Bitch! I love you!
Thank you for the reminder that I need to turn sound alerts off. Ghost Chris 1, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Hope you're having a wonderful night, and I'm going to be starting this separately. Okay. Just making sure. Okay, cool. The sky above us then quickly gets filled with very large holographic screens as people are slowly... Oh, actually, what we're doing right now is I finished the book, so now we need to go achievement hunting so we could get to the next book, because we need at least 25 achievements. So, not all of them will work. Okay, so the one that's like the one that we haven't gotten from chapter 1 is off to a good start, died before reaching the first checkpoint. So let's go and try and get it. They say there is a very fine line between bravery and stupidity. As I stand here in the middle of this forest, gazing at all of the explosions far in the distance, I realize I may well have crossed that line to a point of no return. My name is Barry. I am 28 years old, and I could quite accurately be described as your everyday, ordinary guy. I have no talents, no particular skills, and no academic background. The only thing that defines me is my lifelong obsession to become a mage. It is what I've wished for ever since I was 5 years old. It has been my driving passion throughout my life, as I've constantly amassed knowledge about mages and traveled the world in hopes of finding a way to make my dream come true. After endless years of searching through dust, tomes, and weathered parchments, I have finally found a way to do it. The catch? I need to first win a tournament against the most powerful mages in the world. Sounds crazy. Sounds crazy? That's probably because it is. But it is far too late to go back now. The only way that is left for me is forward. As I stand here, knowing that it's no longer possible to return to my normal life, I can't help but feel quite... If there's anyone conscious that would like to weigh in here, now is your chance. If no one wants to pick a path, then I will probably pick afraid. Okay. Afraid. Deep down, I always knew this would happen. I've been spending the past few weeks getting mentally prepared and making plans, telling myself I was ready for whatever this tournament is going to throw at me. But once I got here, once I knew that there was no way for me to go back, all of my confidence turned into uncertainty, and all of my courage turned to fear. I am going up against the strongest mages in the world. No amount of planning could ever really make me prepared for this. It is too late to change my mind now. I've had enough time to go I've had enough time to back out of this before coming here. I am going to win this tournament against all odds. I'm going to do it. I just have to. There's an explosion a few hundred feet from my location. The fights have already begun, and one of them is much closer to me than I would have hoped. There's no way I can get in a fight with any of the mages at this point. I need to avoid combat for as long as possible if I'm to survive until the end. I head in the opposite direction from where I've heard the explosion. As I'm heading towards the end of the forest, I start hearing voices. There are two mages talking in a clearing a few feet away from me. I hide behind a tree and take a quick glance towards the clearing. It seems that the two mages have just finished fighting. One of them has the appearance of an ordinary thug. He is wearing a simple stained white shirt, leather pants, and a belt full of throwing knives. His untrimmed black beard hides a wicked smile. Just by seeing the confidence in his eyes, I can clearly tell he is the victor of the skirmish. The other mage is wearing heavy armor, but his shield lies on the ground beside him, and he is barely holding his sword anymore. Taking a closer look at the mage in armor, I notice his head is bald, his skin is dark, and he is likely in his mid-40s, and he has a scar on his forehead shaped like an X. I've read of a mage matching this exact description that went by the name of Darren, and he was quite legendary, but would he lose so easily to some common thug? The mage in the white shirt answers my question as he addresses the one in armor while casually playing with one of his knives. The legendary mage Darren, the savior of the eastern continent, the healer in armor. They say you've traveled the world, saving countless villages from destruction, that you once fought 10 rock golems by yourself, only to defend a small child. I guess this goes to show you should never really trust legends. I always knew all of those tales about mages as strong as giants were just codswallop. Hell, if any of those legendary mages that join this tournament are as weak as you, I'm going to win this by sundown. He starts laughing, but he stops suddenly. Wait, who's there? He says as he turns towards me. I quickly pull my head back behind the tree, and I press my back against it, trying to breathe as silently as possible. I know you're here, coward. Show yourself, or I'll have one of my knives find you. Okay. So, Seeking Unemployment has just redeemed Request an Ad Break, which I believe the description of which is... Where is it? 'Cause you want to support me and maybe annoy my other viewers, smiley face. So I'm going to temporarily pause the recording and then take an ad break to fulfill this request. Thank you, Seeking. It's the second part, just to be clear. Alright, I'm back. I'm going to continue. Sean has selected I See No Reason. I see no reason to show myself to you, I tell him. As he pinpoints my location from the sound of my voice, the mage makes a rather long pause before speaking again. A still water, eh? He says, finally. He tries hard to keep his composure when asking his question, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. He is afraid. His sudden change in attitude towards me is not completely unexpected. The existence of still waters is one of the main reasons I've dared to dream that I might have a chance to win this tournament. Still waters are very rare breeds of mages that are known to be incredibly powerful. One of them is said to have destroyed an entire city in an instant some 20 years ago with only a flick of his fingers. The city of Ulmnar was said to have been one of the greatest cities on this continent, but it was wiped off the map just like that in a single second. Such is the power of these still waters. 82% love between Seeking and Sean. Wow. You guys should get a room. $42%. That tracks. I definitely love Sean much more than Seeking. Alright, back to the story. But what is even more interesting about these still waters is that you can't differentiate them from normal humans. Normally you can sense the magic flowing from every being. You don't need to be a mage to do it. By sensing their magical aura, you can tell how strong mages are before engaging them in a fight. Still waters, however, have the same aura as normal humans. And if you were to run into someone that seems to have almost no magic in the middle of what is essentially the greatest mage tournament in all of history, what would you be more inclined to believe? That an average human was somehow suicidal enough to join the tournament only to get massacred? Or that you are facing one of the strongest and rarest kinds of mages that exist in this world? You don't scare me, Stillwater. If I'm going to fill you with holes and you'll end up begging me for mercy. I bet your legends are no more true than they were for this sad excuse of a mage standing next to me. Give him until the count of 10 to retreat, implied that I'm the one who destroyed the city of Ulmnar, and I would like to remind you that the goal is to die. Give them till the count of 10. Achievement unlocked. Off to a good start. I'm going to give you until the count of 10 to get out of my sight, I tell him. Ha! Empty words. That's all you've got. Arm yourself, fool. Today I become a legend. Once he's done talking, I hear the mage throw several knives towards the forest. They all race past me, but before I get a chance to even think of what to do next, the knives suddenly turn in midair and fly towards me, impaling me where I stand. It all ended so fast I barely even had the time to realize I was dead. Good job. So that means we achievements. Chapter 1, we have got all the achievements. Alright, Chapter 2. A smooth talker, choosing the right words at the right time can be a daunting task for many, but you make it look easy. Tough as nails got stabbed in the neck with a dagger and lived to tell the tale. Martial arts master successfully disarm an opponent while fighting barehanded. Alright, and I believe I do have a save in Chapter 2. I do. Let me catch up with chat. Crying. Give them to the count of 10. Seeking redeems first and second. Wow, what a classy move. Seeking redeems posture check, which is fair considering how I'm sitting right now. Oh, and my dog gave me room to sit on my chair for once, so I can actually put my feet down and not sit in a really weird, uncomfortable position. Sean redeems highlighted. Yay! Seeking redeems. Oi, straighten up. Well, that's only because you restarted your stream and I didn't think to do it again. Congratulations. Hydrate or dihydrate. Thank you for the hydrate. Also, go to sleep. And for the record, I have turned off sound alerts, so don't try to redeem them. Today redeemed a sound alert. Today, Sean redeemed a sound alert while I was still at the starting soon page and I was not at my computer. He redeemed one of the bits. It was a jump scare, and I was like, why would you do that? I wasn't here. And for Pink Lizard, welcome in. Glad you're still here. I always take a while to start my streams because I always lose track of time. I think that I'm ready and then I'm not ready. But for the record, next time I would redeem Run. It's plenty loud. Okay. So this is when I'm redeeming points. Once again, if there are people... Why? Why would you do that? Bits are real money. But thank you for the bits. Much appreciated. These are not high quality enough for me to hear them when they're not directly in my ears. I actually don't even know why they're in my ears right now since there's no sound alerts. Okay. Achievement. So, Smooth Talker, we are starting in the middle of chapter 2, although I can go to the last checkpoint to start at the beginning of chapter 2. Tough as nails, there is a toughness check. There is a toughness points. Why? You guys are both wasting money right now. But thank you. Thank you for the bits. So there is also a combat mastery or combat training or something. So these two are probably... This one's probably based on decision, and these ones are probably based on stats. You know, I could go back to the beginning of this chapter. Oh, never mind. Alright. To be honest, since Deacon got here, I've been playing over here. Playing as in playing in the chat. Because y'all are weird. So this is... I saved this at the first points. So we're able to make new points decisions. Would y'all like to make a decision here? Combat technique. So I would be inclined to just, for one of them, put all of my points into toughness, and another one put all of my points into combat technique. Alright, I'm gonna start with toughness then. Seeking, thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. Much appreciated. You're missing the sound alert that normally goes with that one, where there's a sound alert saying that the person loves their daddy. And since you're spending money, you are now daddy. Thank you so much. Oh, these are all people that really deserve it, too. I'll have to come up with a sub-goal thing. Alright, so I'm gonna go for the toughness check since no one wants to pick one. I mean... you gifted subs. When you sub for the first time, or when you subscribe for yourself, I think it literally thanks daddy. And then when you gift subs, it says, I love my daddy. Alright, confirm changes with toughness. I will... I thought it was funny, so that's what I did. As we march through the forest, I hear a few loud beeps coming from my right pocket. Barry, what's that sound? Darren asks. I know that sound. Don't tell me you brought a fortune teller's trinket with you all the way here. Are you planning to tell our fortunes, Barry? A fortune teller's trinket, that's what most people call these devices nowadays, but very few people know what they really do, and how they actually work. My research has led me to believe that these devices harness their energy from the magic all around them. The more energy they harness, the more effective they become, since the mages are usually spread far apart from one another and they don't really have any reason to cast the more energy they harness, the more effective they become. Since mages are usually spread far apart from one another and they don't really have any reason to cast such powerful spells, one after the other, the effects of such devices are mostly negligible. But imagine the amount of energy it could gather in a place filled with the most powerful mages in the world who are constantly fighting each other. I pull the device out of my pocket. It looks much like a toy with a few buttons and a screen. As I press the buttons, different letters magically appear on the screen, forming words and showing me numbers. The device calls these my stats. My stats consist mostly of various physical attributes such as strength, speed, reflexes, toughness, observation, and hearing. But there's also others like combat technique, ancient languages, and premonition. When the device harnesses enough energy, it announces me by beeping, and then it allows me to invest a limited number of points into my stats. At the moment, all of my stats are at 0, which means that the device's energy was completely depleted when I bought it. I guess I'll have to start leveling them from scratch. Alright, so... Seeking is dueling Sean. Sean accepts. Sean won. Take that, Seeking. Seeking is best 2 out of 3. Sean won again. Suck it. Bro, where you at? Just getting started. I have a feeling we're going to be too distracting for Lady Teddy. Maybe. I'll mostly ignore you guys and then read it every now and then. Alright, and back to it. Investing my points in stats is supposed to actually enhance my attributes as long as I keep the device close enough to me that it comes into contact with my magical aura. As I spend my time here, I am often expecting to hear these beeps more and more often. I'll have to think twice about the way I spend my points though, since I have no way of knowing when I'll get my next batch of points and no way to change my mind after I've invested them. The maximum values that appear now for each stat are likely to increase as time passes. This device is mostly used by fortune tellers because of its premonition stat. It provides them with some very vague glimpses into the future that they are then free to interpret to their own liking. I wonder if the ancient languages stat actually means that I'll start being able to understand and speak ancient tongues. I believe there are many such writings on this continent, and I heard some people here don't speak the common tongue. So, return to game. Barry. I don't know, Sean. What is your new goal here? Barry, don't you think there are more important things to do right now than playing around with that toy? Darren asks me. This isn't a toy, I answer him as I put the device back into my pocket, and I think you should pay more attention to where you're going instead of lecturing me because I see we just ran out of forest. Oh, you mean what's the achievement that we're going for? It's the toughness one. Take a dagger to the neck or something? Yeah, tough as nails. Get stabbed in the neck while with a dagger and live to tell the tale. Quiet, so I invested in toughness. Quiet, the two of you, Kate says. We've got company. She's right. Looking all around us, I see there are fallen trees everywhere in this area, and there are quite a few dead bodies laying around. It seems there's been a battle here, or maybe several. The victors were in the middle looting the bodies when they noticed us. There's 3 of them in total. One of them is considerably well built for a mage. He has a very long black beard covering his face. He seems to be in his mid-40s, and he's wearing heavy armor and is holding a large battle axe. The other two are a bit skinnier and younger and are wearing chainmail vests instead, but they are holding no weapons. The bearded mage with the battle axe shouts to Darren. Quite the team you've assembled there, healer in armor. A healer, a banshee, and an ordinary human. It's like you're dying to lose this tournament. Kate was visibly affected by the banshee comment. Her eyes twitched, and her look went subconsciously towards the ground. Mind your tongue, fool, I reply to him. Who are you calling an ordinary human? Have you not heard of still waters? Ha! Still waters are legends and nothing more. I don't know what you were trying to achieve by joining this tournament, boy, but soon it won't matter anymore. Why? Darren asked the bearded mage. Why have you done this? He gestures towards the lifeless bodies lying all around us. Nobody told us to start killing each other, Darren continues. They told us there are no rules until they give us our first objectives. We don't even know if there was going to be combat involved. Why did you have to kill all these people? Because there are no rules, answers the mage with the battle axe. No rules means we can do whatever we want. And what we want is to eliminate as much of the competition as possible before the main event starts. He grins. My son and I were a little worried at first. We were afraid that we might not be ready for the big leagues. But here we are, the bearded mage exclaims as he raises his hand and takes a victorious stance. But enough talk. We all know what's coming. Barry, get behind me, Darren shouts as he rushes in front of me. First rule of combat, says the bearded mage. Suddenly, one of the two younger mages that were standing next to the mage with the battle axe vanishes and appears right behind me, a dagger in his hand. Always kill the weakest enemies first, the bearded mage continues. The young mage slashes his dagger towards my neck, but the Darren reacts just in time and continues and uses his shield to take the blow. Yes. Yeah, seeking to gift subs. And you were one of them. And I was like, all of the people that the subs went to deserved it. So congratulations. Thank him whenever he's probably asleep, which he should be sleeping. Well, yeah. Congratulations. The young mage, oh, your volume is low, so you can't hear. Okay. Ha, you left the woman undefended. Classic mistake, says the mage with the battle axe, as his son makes a dozen swords appear out of thin air, floating in front of him, and sends them all flying towards Kate. Just as the swords reach her, Kate's left arm gets covered in a large, thick block of ice sculpted in the form of a shield. She puts it in front of her, and all of the swords get stuck into it. Left the woman undefended, Kate asks. So which is it, then? Woman or banshee? She lowers her left arm to reveal her face as she looks straight towards the mage with the black beard. Her eyes are brimming with fury. Make up your mind, she shouts as the whole forest falls silent from the sound of her voice. The mage with the battle axe seems to have temporarily lost his cool and is looking a bit terrified, as he should be. Kate's killing intent is so strong that it almost seems palpable. I see backstabbers and sword throwers, she shouts, and you call yourself mages? Come, I'll show you real magic. As she talks, the air all around us seems to be getting colder. So this is what it feels like to be in a tournament, alongside the most powerful mages in the world. The bearded mage seems to have snapped out of it. Your parlor tricks won't save you a second time, wench. I don't care if you're banshee or not. None of you are going to leave this place alive, he shouts as he rushes towards Darren with his battle axe ready to strike. As he approaches, I realize that if I don't do something quick, Darren will be forced to fight the older and the younger mage by himself while also defending me. He won't have the luxury of using healing spells since they require him to be calm and relaxed in order to cast them. Maybe there's something I can do to help? Alright, and remember, we're trying to get stabbed here. Hide behind Darren and let him handle them both. Draw the younger mage away from Darren and focus on avoiding his attacks. Fight the younger mage myself. If no one wants to decide, I would probably go with this one. Okay. Fight the younger mage myself. And because I don't want to go all the way back, I will do a save here. There's no way Darren can fight the two of them while he's defending me. Since the younger mage seems to be focused on me, I'll lure him away from Darren and try to fight him on my own until Darren finishes off the older mage. Kate seems to have gotten the sword-throwing mage's undivided attention. He's constantly sending swords her way from every direction as she creates walls of ice to block his attacks. We're lucky. With Darren's weakness against weapons and my lack of magical talents, that mage would probably have been the hardest for us to fight. As the bearded mage reaches us, his battle axe clashes loudly with Darren's sword. I see you've enchanted your weapon well, healer, says the older mage, but how long can you last against a battle-hardened warrior such as myself? He roars and presses his battle axe harder against Darren's sword. As the two of them fight, I dash away towards the forest. As expected, the mage with the dagger is coming right after me. Barry, wait! Darren shouts after me. He attempts to follow, but decides against it. He can't afford to avert his eyes from the bearded mage even for a second. He is too dangerous. In the meantime, the mage fighting Kate has managed to surround her with floating swords, aimed at her from every direction. He is sending them all at her simultaneously in an attempt to overwhelm her defenses. She quickly surrounds herself with a sphere of very thick ice, and all of the swords once again stop into it. As she dismisses the sphere, all of the hundreds of swords drop to the ground with a deafening clang. Achievement unlocked. Tough as nails. We did it, guys. Combat technique failed, level 1. Toughness check successful, level 3. Once I'm far enough away from Darren and his opponent, I turn back towards the mage with the dagger and assume my fighting stance. As the mage teleports behind me again, I attempt to disarm him. I fail to grab his arm, however, and his knife reaches my neck. To both me and the mage's surprise, the blade doesn't quite manage to cut through my skin, only drawing a bit of blood instead. I realize it must be because I had used my stat device to maximize my toughness. I use this moment of confusion to widen the stance between myself and my attacker, and try to keep my guard up for any more surprise teleports. Boy, what do you think you're doing? Stop fooling around and finish him. He's just an ordinary human, shouts the mage with the battle axe. Kate seems to have gone on the offensive. She is throwing ice cones towards the younger mage, and he is now forced to use his swords to cut them down, instead of attacking her. As he focuses more on defense, Kate's attacks become more and more relentless. It doesn't take her long until she starts sending hundreds of ice daggers towards her enemy. The mage doesn't seem to know how to use his technique to defend from such a large number of simultaneous attacks. It only takes a small miscalculation on his part to end the battle abruptly, as one of the ice daggers stabs him right through the heart, killing him on the spot. No! No! Shouts the older mage as he sees what happened to his eldest son. Taking his eyes off his opponent was a fatal mistake. Darren didn't waste didn't waste his chance and drove his blade right through the man's chest, his enchanted weapon cutting through the mage's heavy armor like a knife through butter. The bearded mage gave out one last gurgle before he drowned in his own blood. Terrified, the young mage with the dagger tries to teleport into the forest to get away, but his spell range appears to be limited, and it only transports him halfway there. He tries to make a run for it, but Kate snipes him from a distance with an icy cone through his head, which kills him instantly. It was a gruesome show, but at this point, all I care about is that I somehow managed to make it out of that alive. So it was combat technique level 1. I'm gonna do another read through. I don't need to do the entire monologue. Alright, so achievements, book 1, book 2. Tough as nails. Martial arts master. Successfully disarm an opponent while fighting barehanded. So it's disarm. Alright. Well, I'm gonna go back to points. And it was combat technique level 1? You know what? I'm just gonna go here. Do you want to do all 3 into reflexes? No. We're definitely going to need 2 combat technique, 1 reflex. Alright. Confirm changes. And now, which one would you like here? I would probably go with this one. Okay. There's no way Darren can fight the 2 of them while defending me. Sure, since the younger mage seems to be focused on me, I'll lure him away from Darren and try to evade his attacks for as long as I can, until Darren finishes off the older mage. Kate seems to have gotten the sword-throwing mage's undivided attention. He is constantly sending swords her way from every direction as she... Oh, wait, you wanted water. Thank you for the hydrate. We're lucky. With Darren's weakness against weapons and my lack of magical talents, that mage would probably have been the hardest for us to fight. As the bearded mage reaches his battle axe... As the bearded mage reaches us, his battle axe clashes loudly with Darren's sword. Sean, got to make sure you take care of your throat tonight. Yeah, but I'm not planning on reading for 2 hours, so probably won't get my throat out of reading commission. I shouldn't have phrased it this way. Not for reading, though. I was playing COD earlier. Anyways, moving on. As the bearded mage reaches us, his battle axe clashes loudly with Darren's sword. "I see you've enchanted your weapon well, healer," says the older mage, "but how long can you last against a battle-hardened warrior such as myself?" He roars and presses his battle axe harder against Darren's sword. As the two of them fight, I dash towards the forest. As expected, the mage with the dagger is coming right after me. "Barry, wait!" Darren shouts after me. He attempts to follow, but decides against it. He can't afford to avert his eyes from the bearded mage even for a second. He is too dangerous. In the meantime, the mage fighting Kate has managed to surround her with floating swords aimed at her from every direction. He sends them all at her simultaneously in an attempt to overwhelm her defenses. She quickly surrounds herself with a sphere of very thick ice, and all of the swords once again stop into it. As she dismisses the sphere, all of the hundreds of swords drop to the ground with a deafening clang. Speed check failed, level 1. Reflex check successful, level 1. My plan to lure the younger mage away is working far better than I expected. The mage keeps teleporting after me and trying to catch me off guard, but every time he thinks he's got me in a pinch, I simply dodge his strikes with ease. I knew that stat device would come in handy, but I never dared to dream that it would be so useful. I feel like I could keep on doing this all day. "Boy, what do you think you're doing? Stop fooling around and finish him. He's just an ordinary human," shouts the mage with the battle axe. Kate seems to have gone on the offensive. She is throwing ice cones towards the young mage, and he is now forced to use his sword to cut them down, instead of attacking her. As she focuses more on defense, Kate's attacks become more and more relentless. It doesn't take her long until she starts sending hundreds of ice daggers towards her enemy. The mage doesn't seem to know how to use his technique to defend from such a large number of simultaneous attacks. It only takes a miscalculation on his part to end the battle abruptly, as one of the ice daggers, stab him right through the heart, killing him on the spot. "No!" shouts the older mage when he sees what happened to his eldest son. Taking his eyes off his opponent was a fatal mistake. Darren doesn't waste his chance and drove his blade right through the man's chest, his enchanted weapon cutting through the mage's heavy armor like a knife through butter. The bearded mage gave out one last gurgle before he drowned in his own blood. Terrified, the young mage with the dagger tries to teleport. Alright, for this next couple attempts, I'm just going to read the stuff that's different. Alright, what do you think? Speed and reflexes. Both of them? Combat technique. And this one again, or this one? Same one? I actually don't remember how to get... I don't remember how to get to the right answer. I have a guess, but since you were actively wanting to participate, I'm going to let you make the decisions. Okay. Number 2 it is. Speed check successful, level 1. My plan to lure the younger mage away is working far better than I expected. The mage keeps teleporting after me and trying to catch me off guard, but every time he thinks he's got me in a pinch, I simply dash away with ease. I knew that stat device would come in handy, but I never dared to dream that it would be so useful. I felt like I could just keep running like this for hours and not get tired. Alright, looks like all of that's the same. Well, because it was the same check, it turns out. If we hadn't passed, since last time we failed speed, it just went to reflexes. It was just trying to figure out whether or not you passed. It was figuring out how you avoided the mage one way or another. It was the same sort of check. Because this one? Alright, I have a feeling that it will be okay. I'm gonna go with combat technique. And speed. Premonition? Okay, so all 3 into premonition. And you want to hide behind Darren and let him handle both. I thought that this was the one you said you wanted to pick, but sure. If I try to handle the younger mage myself, I might just get in Darren's way. I'll leave this to him and try to follow his lead as much as possible. Kate seems to have gotten the sword-throwing mage's undivided attention. He is constantly sending swords her way from every direction as she creates walls of ice to block his attacks. We're lucky. With Darren's... okay, so that's the same. As the bearded mage reaches us, his battle axe clashes loudly with Darren's sword. I see you've enchanted your weapon well, healer, says the older mage. But how long can you last against a battle-hardened warrior such as myself? He roars and presses his battle axe harder against Darren's sword. The younger mage tries to have another go at me with his dagger, but Darren intercepts his strike with his shield. How long do you plan on defending this little whelp? You can't protect him and fight the both of us at the same time. Abandon the boy and maybe you'll stand a chance. Never! Darren shouts as he slashes towards the bearded mage, and his blade meets the battle axe's steel yet again. In the meantime, the mage fighting Kate has managed to surround her. Okay, that's the same. The mage's dagger is very keen on landing a blow at me. Darren has managed to successfully block every one of his hits that were aimed at me, but he got himself hurt in the process more than once. Even with his full body armor equipped, I can tell he won't last much longer this way. Something needs to be done. Alright, so we asked Kate for help in the actual run-through, and that's not going to be it. So we're back to these two. Fight them or avoid them. And since we already tried to avoid them, the only one left is fight the younger mage myself. There's no way Darren can fight the two of them while defending me, since the younger mage seems to be focused on me. I'll lure him away from... Okay, that's the same... Combat technique check successful level 1. Once I'm far enough away from Darren and his opponent, I turn back towards the mage with the dagger and assume my fighting stance. I realize I am feeling quite confident in my fighting skills all of a sudden. Is it because of that stat device? The mage tries to surprise me again by teleporting behind me, but I manage to stop his arm as he flings it towards me, forcing him to let go of the dagger. As I take his weapon, he quickly pulls out another dagger from his sleeve and makes a lunge towards me. Our two daggers clash and we start to fight. Boy, what do you think you're doing? Stop fooling around and finish him. He's just an ordinary human. Shouts the mage with the battle axe. Kate seems to have gone on the offensive. Okay, that's the same. Alright. So we did it! It was the combat technique. No, that was the one we were going for. The goal was to disarm him. See? Martial arts master. Successfully disarm an opponent while fighting barehanded. So, smooth talker, choose the right words at the right time can be a daunting task for many, but you make it look so easy. I'm going to... I don't know if we can get this one or not. It might be at the beginning of the chapter. Let me look at the phrasing of that again. As he's healing his wounds, Darren looks straight at me. Damn it, Barry, that was too close. We're going to have to think up some strategy for our next fight, or we're not going to last much longer. Yes, I tell him, I think you may be right. After finishing his healing spell, he walks over to Kate. Kate, please explain something to me, because I just don't get it. With the way you were fighting back there, why would you ever ask for an escort? Everyone has their weaknesses, healer. Judging by how much you've been struggling this fight, I would assume that, ironically, you are the weakest against other weapon enchanters such as yourself. But just because I handled these thugs with ease, it doesn't mean I won't have any problems against other foes. No one can survive this tournament alone. Yes, I suppose you're right. Darren pauses. Very well, let's keep going, he says as he heads towards the trees. I start to follow him, but Kate stops me in my tracks. She has that very serious look in her eyes again. Stillwater, she says in a low voice in order to avoid being heard by Darren. I saw you fighting back there. You may have managed to convince Darren and that bearded fool that you were an ordinary human, but I am not so easily deceived. I don't know what your game is, but I'm going to keep my eye on you. I'm not, I start to say, but Kate cuts me off and grabs me by the shirt. Listen to me, Stillwater. I'm not interested to hear your lies. I want to make sure you were clear on what I think of your little charade. Now are you clear? Crystal, or not really, could you elaborate some more? Well, there's always the chance the thing is ironic. Do you want me to save here? We can pick both of them. Crystal, I tell her. Good, she says as she releases my shirt. Now let's be off. We need to catch up to Darren. As we approach the forest, I see a female deer and her fawn appear from behind the trees. They make some noise when they see us, and then they hurry back into the woods. We decide to follow the path that leads to the mountains in hope of finding a cave to provide us with some shelter for the night. So, bottom? Not really. Could you elaborate some more? I ask her. Kate frowns at me. Joke all you want, Stillwater, but I've got my eye on you. She releases my shirt and goes to catch up with Darren, not saying another word. Ancient Languages check failed, level 2. As we approach the forest, I see a female deer and her fawn appearing from behind the trees. They make some noise when they see us, and then they hurry back into the woods. We decide to follow the path that leads to the mountains in hope of finding a cave to provide us with some shelter for the night. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can... So we're starting... I'm gonna see if we can get back to the load from last checkpoint. I think we need to start at the beginning of chapter 2. So I'm going to rush us through chapter 1. Right now, I'm rushing through chapter 1. We're not trying to get anything in this chapter. But these stats might... Oh, this isn't the one that I meant to do. Sorry. Um... Oh, damn. Sorry, hang on. Alright, I'm gonna go with excited. Show myself. I don't know. Okay. So at the beginning of this chapter, we just saw a woman comes out asking a question, asking if it's the healer in armor. And women can't be mages, so the fact that she has a magical aura probably means that she is a banshee. Both Darren and I turn around at the same time. We see a slim, tall figure standing behind us, with long black hair, fair skin, and a very serious look on her face. She's wearing leather pants, a long-sleeved white blouse, and a green hooded cloak. She appears to be somewhere in her early 20s. But that's not all there is to this woman. I can also sense a strong magical aura all around her. An aura that couldn't possibly be coming from a regular human. Could she be a banshee? My heart starts beating rapidly again. That night from 15 years ago is coming back to me. I can see it vividly, and I can still hear the laughter, that sinister, high-pitched laughter. Will it never stop haunting me? I take a deep breath and try to calm down. This woman can't be a banshee. The feeling I'm getting now is too different from the one that I got back then. Does this mean she's a mage? No, that wouldn't be possible. And yet... Barry, whispers Darren. Don't be afraid. I know white magic. I can purify her. I realize Darren must have also sensed the magic coming from this woman and concluded that she's been possessed by a banshee. Banshees are parasitic spirits that need to inhabit bodies in order to survive. They usually spend a few weeks inside a body in a dormant state before taking over. During this phase, the host may develop magical powers. Once a banshee is in full control of the body, they say she is awakened. The only way you can save the original host once she's been possessed by a banshee is to use white magic to purify her before the banshee is fully awakened, which basically means killing the banshee without harming the host. However, the purification technique operates on the assumption that the woman cannot have magic powers of her own. They call it purification, but all the technique does is, in fact, is to completely eradicate the aura that gives off the strong magical vibe, and the purpose of also eliminating the banshee along with it. On the other hand, if the aura does not in fact belong to a banshee, but to the woman herself, the purification would be nothing short of a death sentence. No, wait, listen to me, I blurt out. This woman isn't a banshee. So what you're suggesting she's a mage then? Barry, women can't be mages. There hasn't been a single recorded case of a woman mage in all of our world's history. Every time a woman's developed magical powers, it's been because of a banshee. Every single time. Don't you think I know that? But this one is different. If you try to purify her, you may well end up killing her. How can you be so sure? Because I've met a banshee before, up close. Have you met a banshee before, Darren? No, he admits. You just said you trust me enough to tell me your greatest weakness. I'm asking you to trust me on this too. Can you trust me on this, Darren? Darren gives me a long look, and then he sighs deeply. All right, we'll do it your way, but I'm keeping an eye on her. I swear, Barry, if it turns out you're only saying this because of her looks, I'm going to... Would you guys mind telling me what you've been whispering about for the past minute? The woman asks us. So last time we chose this, that doesn't do it. So if we want to pick one of these three, actually this is the beginning of the chapter. Okay. Her looks. We were talking about your looks, actually, I tell her. The woman is looking straight at me. It's hard to tell if she's upset or simply unfazed by my comment, but at least she appears to believe me. She decides to ignore me completely and address Darren instead. You didn't answer my question. I was asking if you were Darren, the healer in armor. I am indeed, answers Darren. What purpose would you have with me? So, would you like to continue trying the other options, or would you like to just move on and see if there's more dialogue that could trigger it? Lordos, welcome in. Thank you for joining. Right now we are achievement hunting. The achievement we're looking for in Chapter 2, we found all 3 of 4. So achievement, Book 1, Chapter 2. Smooth talker. Choosing the right words at the right time can be a daunting task for many, but you make it look easy. So this one probably doesn't have to do with stats. You don't have to pick if you want. I can just try and find it on my own. Or if no one answers, or if you want to help me pick choices, then we'll do that instead. I'm just going to keep going. I don't think the answer is one of the past 3. I require an escort. I'm not certain I can survive this tournament by myself. And I've heard of all your deeds of valor and your legends, so I thought maybe... Say no more. I will grant you my protection for the duration of your quest. From what you say, I would surmise that you're not actually trying to win the tournament? No, I'm not. I'm looking for a friend, and I have reason to believe that she's somewhere on this continent, but I don't have any specific leads yet. For now, I just need to stay alive. Then you can join us. We were about to get out of here now. We were just about to get out of here. We're way too out in the open right now. Us? You're planning to travel alongside this Stillwater? You can't trust him. Ask her what she has against me. Ask her why the 2 of us should trust her. Ask her why she's so quick to trust Darren and not me. Last time we picked this one. So it would be one of the two. Sorry, I should have said that at the beginning. First? Hey, I'm right here, I tell her. What do you have against me anyways? Don't give me that act, Stillwater. I've heard of what your kind can do. Human life has no value to you. Tell me, what did the people of Ulmnar ever do to deserve such a terrible fate? Whoa, calm down. All calm down, says Darren. He turns to the woman. Listen, I understand your concern, but this man saved my life and I intend to repay my debt to him. If you're looking for an escort, then it's going to be the three of us traveling together. I'm not accepting any alternatives. The woman pauses to consider Darren's words. Very well, she says. If that's the way it has to be, then I'm forced to comply. But know that I'll be constantly watching my back. I'm not as easily convinced as you, healer in armor. Great, Darren says. Now that we've got that settled, let's be off. Adventure awaits. Wait, I call out. You didn't tell us your name. The woman turns towards me and gives me a pondering look. After careful consideration, she decides to answer. It's Kate. My name is Kate. With those last words, the three of us leave the clearing and head into the forest, in the hopes of finding some place away from the ongoing battles that are being waged across the land. Alright, would you guys like to go back and try different alternatives, different answers, or would you like to keep going? Alright. I don't remember specifically how to get to this answer. Okay, yeah, Lordos, if you don't want me to be asking you for answers, then we'll just let Sean handle it. And if after a couple minutes no one makes a decision, I'll make the decision. And since this one's not combat, where you could die, I'll just keep going. I won't be trying to lead us astray. As we march through the forest, I hear a few loud beeps. Okay. I already read this part. This is for points. Or for these. And I'm going to not do them until we are in front of decisions, and then I'll just keep going, and if we don't get it, we can add to decisions later. So invest points later. I already read this one too, basically saying what it does. Oh, shit. Well, all of these answers, these are all combat ones, so we should just go back to load from last checkpoint. So, let's pick. We've already done this one, so it would be deciding which one should make a pass at her, or just finishing our discussion from earlier. We did not. We actually died. Oh, thank you. We're actually considering making a Dungeons and Dragons between a couple different streamers. I don't think I would be the dungeon master, but I appreciate that. You got it. Good choice, Sean. We were trying to decide which one of us should make a pass at you, I tell her. We were just about to play rock, paper, scissors for it. Would you like to do us the honor of arbitering? I know I'm not saying that right. Arbitering our match. The woman is clearly upset about my comment. She's trying to control her frown and appear unfazed, but her anger is visible enough. I'm wondering if I went too far with my joke. Well, at least she doesn't appear to be doubting my words. She decides to ignore me completely and addresses Darren instead. You didn't answer my question. I was asking if you were Darren, the healer in armor. I am indeed, answers Darren. What business would you have with me? Yay. Alright, so achievements, book 1, book 2, you got it. So I kind of said this earlier. A lot of the phrases for these are sarcastic. Choosing the right words at the right time can be a daunting task for many, but you make it look so easy. Yeah, I was going to finish chapter 2. I know that Lourdes, you just got here and I'm sorry. But I have been reading for an hour, and last time I read for like almost 2 hours, and then my voice was so raw the next day that I just couldn't read. Alright, so I'm going to end it here. No, my voice, you could just hear how raw it was. So I'm just going to do transfer achievements to Cloud because apparently everything else saved properly. Alright, going back. But it doesn't do the same thing. I can't do the voices and stuff. It's just not as good. And then I will quit game, go back to this. And I'm going to end the recording here, but I will keep going with the stream. Thank you for listening, everyone.